Lenny, I'm doing well. How are you?
Good.
Good. Nice to see you.
Nice.
Laredo at large from Ward 7. Councillor Andrea Kelly at large from Ward 3. Let's see, it's always harder online to see. But I know Councillor Gentile at large from Ward 4 is here. And Councillor David Kalis at large from Ward 8. And our committee clerk is Tom Scahill. Tom, did I miss any members of the committee?
Yep, someone just joined. Let me just find that.
Okay.
Deb,
And Councillor Deb Crossley at large from Ward 5. Someone has just started screen sharing. Can we? Okay, yes. Thank you. That's our gas leaks map, very important. Let me introduce Lou Taverner, our city engineer. Good evening, and Bill Ferguson from the Sustainability Commission, and Jonathan Yo, our COO, and we're also joined by Councilor Alicia Bowman at large from Ward 6, not a member of the committee, but very welcome. Okay, so let's get started. Let me define my. We have two public hearings this evening. The first one is an Eversource grant of location on Center Street. It's number 4923 for Hipwire and Anchor. Is there someone here from Eversource who is going to introduce this item?
Hi.
Yeah.
Oh, it's
This is Joanne Callender.
How are you?
Very well. How are you?
Pretty well, thank you.
Great. So yes, we are seeking a grant of location to install a new anchor guy into Center Street. The current one is in a tree that has been compromised due to storm and just natural health decline. And due to that, we need to move it out of the tree and move it to potentially the sidewalk.
Okay, the tree must be in pretty bad condition for you to have to move it, because I thought the requirement was the tree had to be dead for a guy wire.
So the tree is not dead. Our arborist did go out and we found that, it has been compromised and it's best that we move it sooner than later.
Okay, so this is, I believe, in Ward 6. Are there any questions from the committee about this item? I'm not seeing any hands up. So Ms. Callender, the guy wire will be you're going across the sidewalk, but it'll be high enough up, right? So it's not causing any hazard to pedestrians.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you very much. So is there a motion to approve this item?
I'll move it.
Okay, Counselor Crossley has moved approval. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any
Madam
abstention?
Need a
Chair, do
public
you need
hearing,
to-
Council Larry.
Oh, I'm
I think you need
sorry.
to call the
It's a
roll.
public, no, it's a public hearing. I'm sorry. I need to open the public hearing and see, is there any member of the public that would like to speak on this item? I am not seeing any hands up. So I will close the public hearing. So Councilor Laredo, did you say you wanted a roll call?
Only if the clerk thinks we need it. We're all virtual, so I'm not sure we do.
Okay. Well, since this is a pretty,
I'm fine going
Straightforward.
ahead, Chair Larry.
okay. So all those in favor of approval for the Eversource petition, grant of location, please say aye.
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 Are there any abstentions? Are there any nays? Okay, that passes unanimously.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you very much, Ms. Calendar.
Have a great evening.
Thank you.
You as well.
Take care.
The next item, also a public hearing, is 5023, and this is National Grid, request for a grant of location in Pleasant Street and Tyler Terrace. And I believe Ms. Mulroney is here to introduce this item.
Yes, good evening. Thank you.
Good evening.
National Grid respectfully requests the city of Newton to grant a location for 75 feet of 6-inch plastic main extending from the existing 6-inch cast iron main in Tyler Terrace for a new service at 75 Pleasant Street.
Okay, so my understanding, this is a new, a brand new house requesting gas service, and I had talked to a few people today and in the Sustainability Commission to see how we can do better to catch these new homes, which, as you know, we're working on more electrification of homes and fewer gas. So I think we need a better system in place to catch them earlier to see if they would be interested in going all electric. That was my concern here. Are there any questions from the committee? Okay, I'm not, Councilor Bowman.
Do we know what the gas service is for?
Oh, you mean if it's for heating
For
and
heating, cooking, gas heating, backup heating, fireplace? I guess I am surprised. That I was surprised when I saw this.
yes, it wasn't lost on me that we're passing a resolution on regarding gas, and we have this item before us at the same time. So I assumed it was for heat, but Ms. Mulroney, do you know what the gas, specifically what the service is for?
It is for heat and appliances.
Okay,
Actually, sorry, Miss Leary and Miss Mulroney. Hi, it's Albert Kim. I'm the owner of the property.
hi,
thank-
Mr. Kim.
Hi, how are you? Thank you
I'm
for
good.
hearing this.
I'm glad you're
Um,
here, actually.
Yeah, I can correct that. Actually, the
Okay,
gas service is exclusively for hot water heating. We have just installed solar, and the primary heating for the house is actually electric, based on electric heat pumps and condensers. So this is only for hot water. And the reason we chose gas was because A, it was not controversial at the time we applied for a permit. And second, because we wanted redundancy in heat, in energy sources, because there was some uncertainty about which way the city of Newton was going to go. So this is exclusively for hot water heating. It is not for appliances. All the appliances are electric and is only for hot water.
okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Kim. I appreciate you coming to the meeting to talk to us about that. Councilor Laredo,
I'll move approval.
okay. Councilor Crossley,
Thank you. I'm happy to approve this too. I just have a quick question for Mr. Kim, if I may go
Yeah.
through the chair.
please go. Please go
When you
ahead.
say it's for hot water, do you mean domestic hot water or do you mean hot water for heating?
Domestic hot water. There's a
That's it.
hot water boiler that will feed the, we have a hot water radiant on the main floor only. And that is what primarily the hot water is for, in addition to hot water for showers, basically.
So you have hot water radiant in-floor heating? Okay,
Correct.
so it is for heating and potable water.
It
Just to be
is for
clear.
heating for 1 floor out of 3
Got
and
it.
for potable water. Yes.
Okay, thank you. I understand. So it's like everybody was correct. I just wanted to be clear
That's
about
correct.
that.
Yeah.
All right, thank you. I'm happy to vote in favor of this.
Okay, thank
And members of the public ask questions?
yes, let me open the public hearing. Mr. Stern, just please give me your name and address and please go ahead.
Andy Stern, 56 Tyler. I just have questions because the information that was part of the packet, at least what I saw, appeared not to answer my question. When will the work start? What's its duration? What's the location in the street? Where's the 75 feet measured from? Will the speed humps in the street be impacted, need to be replaced? And will the street be accessible during construction?
Okay, all very good questions. So, Ms. Sullivan, do you have it? Can you answer some of Mr. Stern's questions about, I know that it's also, you guys work closely with National Grid, opening the streets. And it's usually, after it would be approved here, Mr. Stern, it would be, there's 20 days before they would start, I believe. So do you have any additional information, Ms. Sullivan?
In terms of the speed humps, we would, if they touch them, they will restore them.
Okay,
We usually strive always to keep the street open during construction and access to driveways. Most of the time, there may be a half an hour or so during construction, you may not have access to your driveway. We will work with National Grid to coordinate the work.
okay. Mr. Stern, did you have I think you had a few other questions. I don't quite remember them all now. Was there anything else that you needed
Yes.
answered?
With just the duration, is this a one-day job? And where's the 75 feet measured from? Going towards Mason Rice or going in the other direction, towards Center Street?
Okay. Ms. Mulroney, can you answer that question about the pipe? Because it's the lateral, is that the lateral line leading from the gas main to the house?
The line stops at the house next door, and I believe it is in the sidewalk. Looks like it's about 2.5 flagstones of sidewalk, which would approximately, weather permitting and everything going, would take probably a day or two to complete. And this new home does not have a sidewalk, so it would go in front of the home and then tie into a service.
Okay,
Heading towards the school, I think, and the road would remain open, and there would be City of Newton Police Department there directing traffic.
Got it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
so Ms. Mulroney, are you saying that the whole project would only take a day or two? Or was that, are you
That's,
talking?
yes, it's 75 feet. Seems like it's pretty cut and clear.
Okay. Thank you very much. Is there any other member of the public that would like to comment on this item? Okay, seeing none, I will take a motion. Well, I'll just close the public hearing. So, thank you very much, Mr. Kim, for attending. Thank you, Mr. Stern, for your questions.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so now there's a motion to approve. I guess we can do this on a voice vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Are there any abstentions? Any noes? Okay, it's unanimous. Thank you very much, Ms. Mulroney.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Okay. The next item is a resolution for future without gas and for clean heat. This was docketed by myself and 14 of my colleagues, many of them on this committee. And I'm sure you all had a chance to review the document. One of our focuses is to have a citywide gas plan. We have, sorry to say that we haven't really made much progress on gas leaks. It's like whack-a-mole. So we're looking at a more coordinated effort with this resolution. I'm gonna ask Mr. Ferguson if he would like to say anything about this item from our sustainability team.
Yeah, thank you, Councilor Larry. I mean, we're very interested in working with you and being part of the discussion. I think our efforts have focused on electrification rather than the gas leaks. So we've got quite a bit going on there of important work, including being one of the 10 communities that have been selected to participate in the pilot project where we can require electrification in all new construction. Ann Burke has been in the lead on that. So that effort means that all new construction will be electrified and not use fossil fuels except for some possible small exceptions that are being worked out. We're also working on BERDO, which affects the largest buildings in the city and existing buildings. And the purpose of BERDO is to get buildings to net zero by 2050. So that's essentially an energy efficiency and electrification program. In order to get to zero, we need to get everybody, all buildings off of fossil fuels. So that's the intention of the BERDO program. And also Leora Silks has been doing a lot of work with the residential sector with their For Our Future campaign, also aimed at getting residential buildings off of fossil fuels. So really our effort is kind of two-pronged. Get off of fossil fuels and help make the grid greener, which we are doing with, first of all the city's solar projects that we've done and we're continuing to work on. And we're also using avenues that we have available to convince private sector building owners to put solar on their buildings. A lot of that is done through the special permit process and the DRT, which Leora participates in that for us. So that's kind of an overview of what we're doing. And once again, I completely understand the importance of addressing gas leaks. We haven't been that involved. I know Shauna has been, and Lou and Jonathan, and I know there are some legal barriers to trying to address that as thoroughly as we would like to. I also remember a couple years ago, I attended a PF meeting and a gentleman from New England Gas Association was there, and it became pretty clear that at that time that we probably can't repair gas lines more quickly than we can spring new leaks in old gas lines. So it seemed to me that, it's frustrating, but it seemed to me that it might be impossible to get ahead of that based on just the amount of leaks, the age of the system, and the effort it takes to repair leaky gas lines. So that's my take on it. And once again, we'd be very interested in being part of your discussion on this and try to help in.
Yes, Mr. Ferguson, you and I did speak today about plans moving forward. I think someone just needs to mute. Might be Karen. Okay, thank you. I just want to say this is just a first step in a long discussion regarding how we can, transition triage off methane gas and onto electrification of buildings. And I also want to say I've been working with the multi-communities gas group that has been working at the state level as well. And there's an important bill, 4047, which is an act relative to interveners and utility work. That one of the things it would do would give much more authority to municipalities, and that would, in order to work with National Grid to actually have requirements for them to meet and work with us and give us a much more detailed information about gas leaks and the gas leak system. And if anyone would like to get a copy of that bill, I can give it to you. So getting consensus on this with the city council would be significant in our advocacy at the state level to show that this is something we really care about. And I will be bringing this to the attention of our members of the general court. So, okay, I'd like to recognize Councillor Crossley.
Thank you, Chair Leary. I thought maybe we'd be hearing from DPW first, but I'm happy to say a few words. I signed on to this for a number of reasons, but I want to say that I'm very impressed with Chair Leary's leadership on this issue. And it's not just Newton, as I think everyone here knows. I don't mean that it's not just Newton that has gas leaks. It's not just Newton that can solve this problem. This is an enormous problem, and it affects communities across the Commonwealth and beyond. Our focus, as Bill Ferguson says, has been to promote electrification. And as everybody here probably knows, we've lobbied the state. We've become one of the 10 communities who may be able to participate in the 10 Communities Act to require electrification for new construction and major renovations. And we're pushing for it every day through our land use committee, through our special permit process, and have been very successful in great part because of the work that the technical work and the quasi-professional work of the Building Standards Committee of Green Newton. So, but that's really different from coming up with a citywide plan to triage the gas leaks, the significant number of gas leaks we have in our community. I am pleased to see from the last a few weeks ago, that our DPW has been using their monthly meetings in part to actually schedule repair of the super emitter leaks. I hope you're not shaking your head no, Shauna, but I'm love to hear from you, because I see that we have successfully managed to get a number of those repaired, and it was in the mayor's newsletter. I'm a big believer in strategic planning and in looking at a problem comprehensively. And it's, I tried doing that with our, when we still don't know where this is going, but with Verizon and the proliferation of small cells going on our street poles. And, couldn't we come up with a citywide plan of where we want them so that they could be deployed, you know, in some kind of organized way. It's very frustrating to work with the so-called public utilities who service our state or our area of the state to get these citywide plans going. So I guess I just want to say the most important thing in the resolution is the action item that says now therefore be it resolved, and therefore Newton commits to creating a citywide plan to equitably achieve optimal efficiencies, et cetera, et cetera. And I guess what I would like to see in the resolution is a recognition that this, you know, yes, I want to do this work. I want there to be a connection between our leaders in Newton and the statewide or the multiple communities who are working collaboratively to push for these kinds of things, and NGRID. I don't want to see this, you know, we can't say that Newton commits to creating a citywide plan. It has to be us and the administration and the DPW and the sustainability team and so forth. So I want it to be really clear that this goes beyond Newton, and that, you know, some of us have to take leadership roles to try to put the right folks together. The only thing I want to be careful about is I don't want to see this look like, you know, we can make our DPW and or sustainability team focus on this plan. Because sustainability is focused on electrification, willing to talk to us, you know, we should have a powwow. But DPW also is overseeing the work of the gas utilities in the city. There are certain things that I think DPW could be effective in making sure happens. For example, there's this picture of the gas cap, and this may be already taken care of citywide, but gas caps have been in precarious condition over the years and even recently. And with, you know, coordinating that with street paving and so forth. So I guess I'm trying to say, can we somehow recognize in the resolution that this has to be a collaborative effort, that we're not saying that we're going to dump the responsibility on, or that we're trying to dump the responsibility only on Newton folks. I hope that makes sense.
It does make sense, and that is completely my understanding of the resolution. And we're not the only community that has passed a resolution. Waltham has done one as well. Other communities are doing letters to this general court. So I also just want to recognize that much of the information that I've received and guidance I've received has come from Newton residents who have done a lot of work on this issue and on this resolution. In particular, Ellie Goldberg from Mothers Out Front, many other Newton advocates, many of them are in attendance in this meeting right now. And if it were not for their hard work, expertise, technical experience, and their willingness to give their time and share their information with me and other counselors, we wouldn't have gotten here. So I just want to acknowledge that, and I'm very grateful for that support. And I again want to acknowledge the Multi-Town Gas Leaks Initiative also. I've been attending their meetings, and we're coordinating with how we can basically have a plan also at the state level for gas leaks. That would include a lot of the information that we've been asking for, you know, the type and size of pipeline and the material, the pressure, what's causing the leaks, and the estimated lost gas from those kinds of questions. So I just want to share that. And I again want to say this is the beginning of a long road and hard work, and it's a lot of us working together. And although DPW does have a role, their role will be more limited. They're going to be focusing on their traditional role And I will be working more closely with the sustainability team on other parts of this as well. So there's quite a few layers here. I just wanted to say that. And I want to recognize Councilor Rado now.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you for bringing this resolution forward. Thanks to all the folks on this Zoom meeting. I think virtually every member of the public here has been involved in one way or the other in supporting it. I'm ready to move the resolution, Chair Leary. I think it's well stated. It clearly has support of most of our colleagues. It is a resolution. Resolutions are good. Resolutions are statements of intent. It's always positive, but of course, the folks on this call, I think, are well aware of the issues and the problems. It's not necessarily this group that we need to be persuading and educating. It's a much, much larger population, but that's for another day. This is a start, and I'm ready to move it and ask that we vote on it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Rado. Okay, I've not seen any other hands up from any other councilors. So there's a motion to approve. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Are there any abstentions? Any noes?
One
Okay,
opposed.
okay. Good. Councilor Gentile is opposed.
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, let me get back up. The next item is our phosphorus control plan. Let me get back up to my agenda. Yeah. So this is item 5823. Appropriate $280,000 to complete phase 1 of the city's phosphorus control plan. And I believe Ms. Sullivan is here to kick this off. Is that right?
I am with Lou's support.
With Lou's support. Okay,
With
thank
the
you.
engineer Lou Taverna's support.
And thank you for all the information in the packet. I thought it was very clear and set out the plan really well. So thank you for that.
Good, I hope it helped. So this is a request to transfer $280,000 within the stormwater budget to complete phase 1 of the phosphorus control plan. The city needs to complete this phase of the plan by June 30th, 2023 to remain in compliance with our municipal separate stormwater system, or the MS4 permit. The Department of Public Works is currently working with Woodard and Curran on the first phase of developing the phosphorus control plan. We've worked with Woodard and Curran on a number of successful projects, including the Crystal Lake algae bloom treatment. They are very well versed in our stormwater operations and the National Pollutant Discharge Elimination System permit requirements, otherwise known as NIPDs. In your packet, we included Woodard and Curran's December presentations of the committee, which provided details on the phase 1 phosphorus control plan. We also included a memo from the consultant that provides an overview of all the tasks necessary to complete the plan. The consultant and the city have already begun the planning and have advanced a number of components of the plan. The requested funding will advance or refine items that are already in progress, fund the outstanding tasks, and provide a complete phosphorus control plan in compliance with the NIPD's permit requirements. That's a good overview. I'd be happy to take any questions.
Okay, thank you very much. Councilor Kalis.
Yeah, thank you. This was a great memo, a lot of detail. Ms. Sullivan, can you talk to the optional side and are all those included in this? And if not, why not?
The contract we're under right now is for $695,000. That will complete all of the required tasks. There are some additionals that we may or may not want to take advantage of. We haven't reached that point. We need to see the plan, the projects before we can make any determination on the add-ons.
Okay, so will you come to us and we'll discuss what those are? Is that?
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Councilor Crossley.
Thank you. I too really appreciate the detail on the memo, very clear. Nonetheless, I have a couple of questions. One is the baseline load update from 2005 to 2022. Because
Yeah.
I remember that when we were setting our stormwater rates, and I'm not sure I remember what year that was it 2015, 2016, 2014? I'm not sure, but we went through several iterations of setting stormwater rates, and it was with Weston and Sampson at the time who provided their aerial, they had a more recent aerial depiction of the city of Newton than we had access to. Kind of thinking that was 2015 or 2016. But it was pretty accurate. And I'm wondering if it's clear, you still have access to that information. And if that will be used. It's hard for me to imagine that our city, which is so built out, has changed that significantly since then, but I know you have to do it. I just want to make sure that that's in the mix.
Lou, do you know if we still have access to that information? I suspect we do.
Yeah,
but I suspect we
yes.
have to update it.
Yes, we do have access to that information. Of course, it is old. The things have changed since 2014. Northland Development, for instance, and other. I mean, we review all these special permits, so I know things have changed. The cities, the city has changed since then. So this is an update of the 2014 data. Yeah.
Well, just a caution, Northland Development actually has removed all their impervious surface. And,
They have, yes.
Yeah.
and now it's pervious. And
It's all
if you fly
pervious.
over today, it's the entire 22.5 acres is pervious, but it won't be.
It won't be
It
when they
actually
start
will be
building.
increasing the pervious, but never mind.
Right.
Just to let you know, they are aware of all of the projects that are going on in the city,
Yeah.
private
Okay.
and public.
So they'll be
They
able to
provided all
take.
the special permits and everything else too.
So how does that work though? I mean, because so many things are on hold. We don't know if they're going to go anywhere. They're going to do a flyover.
So really what they're going to start with is what is going to give us the biggest bang for the buck. What projects? A revival of Edmonds Pond versus redoing Albemarle Field. So that's the direction they're going into, because we're going to have a hard time getting to our required 5,000 some odd
So as
pounds.
an example, Northland Development is going to have a rather magnificent stormwater management control program built into their project. So,
Mhm.
the site before was completely paved over.
Right.
That's what you're saying, is that they're looking
Yes,
at
they will take all
where
of the
we're
private
going.
development and analyze that, and include that load
Okay.
reduction in their plan.
That's interesting. It'll be interesting to see the particulars. I assume planned non-structural controls is street sweeping, basically.
Pretty much.
Pretty much
Okay,
so.
thank you.
Catch basin cleaning as well.
And what?
Catch basin cleaning.
Catch basin cleaning.
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
thanks. It's the maintenance we're doing twice
Yeah.
a year now, and maybe that would, okay. And the operation and maintenance, does that apply to public and private projects? For example, there's a lot of projects where we've required, for however many years, 20, 25 years, we've required stormwater management. And so those have to be maintained. What's the scope of that?
So it is part of the stormwater permit requirement that they file an operation and management plan. And of course, the city itself does need to manage its projects and make
So
sure
what-
that our infrastructure is
Okay.
in compliance.
That would include the school building projects that
Yes.
Josh Morse has been undertaking. Yeah.
Yeah, great,
Yeah.
great, thank you. And my last question is on the legal analysis, reading that one was done in 2020, but it's going to be updated. And so now we have the stormwater ordinance in the engineering ordinances, but what we still don't have is a reference to it and other things we can do in chapter 30. Will they be looking at that? Chapter 30 is the zoning ordinance that defines what people must do on their sites or may not do.
Okay, so my thought on that is that you would reference the stormwater ordinance and the zoning ordinance so that we weren't duplicating, and also The thought was if it is in one place, we only have to update it in one place. So if you're referring to it in zoning, it will always be updated in 29.
So that's one of two parts. So I agree with you totally there,
Excellent.
and that we will be doing that. But the second part is that we have the ability to require certain processes in land use development and certain minimum and maximum disruptions and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And those things, for example, not allowing more than a certain amount of cuts and fills on a site, not allowing, revising our retaining wall ordinance and the degree to which you can raise a woodland in order to make a flat yard. So we have actually those kinds of control opportunities, which I think dovetails
It
with,
does.
like we might be able to get some credits for that kind of
So
thing.
we have been sharing all of the special permits with the consultant for their review. I don't know how we would capture if it was zoning. We definitely capture the special permits and 40Bs. Not sure how we would do it for anything that didn't require. Except through the stormwater ordinance where you have to file the O&M plan.
Counselor Crossley, Ms. Jonathan Yo, we will be making sure that there's collaboration between our planning departments as they work with you on the committee on zoning changes in the future, with engineering and DPW, and if needed, their consultant on anything that might be able to be done through zoning beyond just tying to the ordinance. So I think, we can make sure if we need to bring the consultants in to help, we can do that. So
I appreciate
when
that.
you get there.
Yeah, I mentioned it at the staff meeting on Tuesday to the zoning and planning staff, who will be staffed up, I understand, again by March 1st. So that was part of it too, is, we haven't been able to get to those kinds of landform related things, which really do impact or prevent us from doing worse things, so that's okay. That's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilor Crossley. Before we go to Councilor Laredo, I do want to recognize we've been joined also by Councilor Emily Norton, Ward Councilor from Ward 2, and Councilor Vicky Damberg, at large from Ward 6, both members of the committee. And I'm happy to say we're also joined by Maria Greenberg, Ward Councilor from Ward 1, and Bill Humphrey, Ward Councilor from Ward 5. So, Councilor Laredo.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So I think this is quite necessary and appropriate for a whole host of reasons. We don't need to go into them this evening. I do want to just make sure, though, that we're, and I'll start by saying this is a perfect project to use a consultant for. Would not expect that our city staff would have the requisite expertise to be able to do this type of work. However, as I've expressed in other occasions, I am very concerned about our management of outside consultants, particularly when they're getting such large contracts. So I want to understand a couple of things if I could. The request is for another couple $100,000, but the total contract is close to $900,000.
$695,000.
And then another 200 some odd $1,000 alternative, right?
That is true.
Okay. And of the former, how much, where is that remainder of the money coming from?
So in our consulting line items, we actually rolled funding that we didn't use last year into this year's budget to fund the 300,000 that's already dedicated to the project. We also have additional consulting funds to make up the remainder.
It's all stormwater money.
So
It is all
wait a minute.
stormwater money.
It's all
Wait a minute.
stormwater money. Yeah.
Wait a minute. We had some $300,000 we didn't spend last year.
Because we knew this was coming and we knew that we needed to do this. We just hadn't moved forward, so we rolled the funding over. We entered into the contract probably in July is when we started doing all the paperwork. So it was almost instantaneously.
So, Mr. Yo, because these are stormwater funds, am I correct that they would not flow into free cash when they're unused, but rather remain in the stormwater money?
That is correct.
All right, and then you said there's some other consulting money that hasn't been used. What consulting money is that?
It will be in our general budget for stormwater. It's a consulting line item.
All right, so you have a consulting line item that you're going to be drawing upon to help fund this as well.
Yes.
So, what assurances do we have that we're not going to get any hourly rate increases during the course of this contract?
I believe the contract dictates the hourly rates, and I don't think that there is an increase built in. But Lou, correct me if I'm wrong.
We
Yeah,
had,
that's correct. Yeah, there's no increase built in. This is through June 30th of 2023, so there's no increase built in, correct?
because we had this issue, if you'll recall, with a transportation contract where there were increases that were charged to us over the life of the contract because the contractor essentially put in rate increases, and I want to be careful we don't get that here.
This contract will end on June 30th.
June 30th, correct, yeah.
All right, so they're not going to have any rate increases between now and then that they're going to try to pass on to us.
No,
That's correct, yeah.
And can I ask internally, how are we reviewing the time bills? I mean, is there any, review or essentially audit of the time charges that we're getting?
yeah, every invoice is reviewed and signed off on by Tom Fitzgerald, and I believe Lou also reviews. So we have a double check.
They invoice us monthly as charges accrue, as person hours accrue. And we know who's working on the project. We verified that they've been working on the project, and we know approximately how many person hours it takes to do the task that they're doing. So all this stuff is double checked by Tom and myself.
I want to add that we also meet probably at least monthly with Woodard and Current on our PC
Correct.
plan.
Yeah.
And they will be meeting with all of the different departments, including planning, Parks and Rec, and public buildings.
Again, I'm not trying, I want to be very careful here. I'm not trying to cast any aspersions on the good faith of any service provider. However, I do, just like large corporations now do this routinely, that they look at their service provider bills for any services, and they look and say, well, how many, if someone says they're charging for an hour for a meeting, they actually will look and see if they actually, on their side spent the same hour on that meeting, or if, the meeting was 3 hours on one side and 1 on the other. And again, I'm not casting aspersions, but it's public money and we need to be careful about that.
I hear you. We do always check our invoices, and we do check the hourly rates, make sure that we're in compliance, that our meetings are that length of time. And
Okay.
as they're Zoom meetings for the most part, there isn't any travel time. So it is fairly easy to check these.
Okay, that's great. I'm fine with it. Otherwise, I think this is, important work. And I appreciate the efforts to both work collaboratively with our consultants, but also remember that this is public funds.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilor Rado. Councilor Bowman.
Thank you very much. So if I understand correctly, one of the tasks the consultant will do will be to identify and prioritize projects between changes in city property versus changes that could be made in the city rights of way. So I'm envisioning those are tree canopies or stormwater gardens in the roadways.
Bump outs where we could add
Yes,
plantings. traffic
exactly. So, okay, so as part of that evaluation, going back with my obsession with making the city safer for people walking and biking and increasing the tree canopy, I guess, are we going to help? The thought that we could do one project that could serve many needs and many benefits to the city, not just in reducing the phosphorus, but making it safer for people to cross the street and slowing down vehicles and providing the shade on our streets that we know are beneficial to people's health and the length of the quality of the pavement, those types of things. So is there going to be some way for the city to evaluate that? Is that one of the things the consultant's going to?
The consultant won't be addressing that, but we'll also be doing this as part of our Complete Streets projects. So we are going to need to add stormwater projects into all of our projects like this. So always we have Complete Streets and TAG and Safe Routes to School often comment on our projects. So that will always be included.
Yeah, I guess I'm thinking specifically about places like Nantum and other places in the north where we have huge heat islands. And so that opportunity when they're evaluating the right of way in places where we don't have a lot of greenery as an opportunity to put those higher on the list or ways to think about that. I think that's really important.
So we will know, we always have a prioritization list for safety enhancements. So we will tie the projects together.
I think
and
that's
to
an
make
opportunity to think
improvement.
about them
Yeah.
on multiple dimensions. But otherwise, I think this is a great work and I'm excited to see how it plays out.
Great, thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Walnut at Crafts is a good example of a traffic calming and pedestrian safety project that then we were able to get some amount of greenery put in and stormwater relief. So that's a good example. There'll be, there'll be more of those in the future.
We just completed that last fall. Yes, yes.
Yeah. That's a great project. I'm glad to hear. I'm very happy that Councilor Bowman brought that up because these coordinated efforts with Complete Streets and our stormwater requirements we don't want to lose any opportunity to improve our sustainability, tree canopy and all that. So thank you for that. Councilor Norton.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yeah, this document is super helpful, very comprehensive. So thank you so much for sharing it with us. I had a few questions. One was the looks like an optional task, alternate schedule request initiation. Is it our intention not to comply with the MS4 permit on the required time frame, but rather to ask for an extension?
We wanted to complete the plan before we began even discussion with that. We probably are going to need to request an extension, but we need to see the plan first.
Okay, I won't, that means a extension of reducing pollution to the Charles. So I don't support delaying. I understand the challenges. I definitely understand that. But
I understand you. We're going to do our best not to do that, but I don't know that it's possible with the amount of phosphorus we need to reduce. Keep in mind that the library only bought us a little over 2 pounds.
Right. I understand. Another question was the funding analysis where it says the contractor will perform a funding analysis, identifying and documenting funding sources which may be available to assist with implementation of phosphorus reduction controls. So I assume this means something in addition to our stormwater fees and the revenues from that. What is an example of what
Grant
monies they
grant funding and infrastructure funding for stormwater.
So would they be like reaching out to our congressmen or our state legislators or just like what?
I believe they'll just be identifying.
Okay.
And they can walk us through the application probably. They're very familiar with that.
Okay. And then lastly, sort of
If you have any leads, Madam Executive President, please send them our way, okay?
Well, I mean, there is a lot of money for water infrastructure.
Send them your leads. So your team's leads.
I think actually, Mr. Yo, I'm actually waiting to hear back from you to have a conversation about that very topic.
Well, if you have leads, we'll be willing to talk. Yeah. Thank you.
And then lastly, sort of along the same lines as Councillor Bowman's question, and I had asked this prior, if we would be, well, I would like to see us, and I don't see it in here, but also looking at the flood reduction benefits of the phosphorus reduction projects. It was communicated that there will be some, but that we are not planning an analysis up front. And I would imagine that it would make it even easier to fund some of these projects if our residents also were aware that it's going to be preventing flooding, or at least reducing risk to their homes and businesses and streets and schools and so forth. So I don't see that in here, and just wanted to see what if any plan there could be, so that we could, see what those benefits would be.
can I get back to you on that? I need to talk to the consultant, see what their analysis is going to include. But I also know that we have to have this done by June 30th for phosphorus.
Yeah, no, I get it, but
Don't wanna make any promises.
even if there's a scope that they would address this after that time, or they would build this in, it just seems like such a lost opportunity to not have that information while they're looking at every hill and dale in the city.
Okay, I will ask.
And I think you'll have, on project by project, you'll have some analysis of the benefits. I mean, Edmonds Brook is a good example of something that's going to have potentially big phosphorus reduction, as well as flood reduction. So project by project, we will be able to take a look at that. So that's a good question.
Yeah, but just to drive this point home, if we don't put it into their scope of
You
work.
want the analysis, I understand.
Yeah, okay, thank you. You get my point. Thanks.
Yes.
Thank you, Councilor Norton. On that topic, is there any possibility of one-time ARPA funds to be used for this to help keep us on better track? Not have to delay things? Or is that not a possibility? I mean.
Well, the ARPA funds will be gone by then. So, yeah, I mean, this is going to take a long time to get to the total poundage that we need to get to, years. And so.
I know it's a many years project, but I was thinking if a year from now, if we're behind, it would be a possibility of using ARPA funds. I would hate to see the project, again, as Councilor Norton said, if the more we delay and ask for delay, which I understand that this is a huge undertaking, it does mean more pollution for our waterways.
At this point, we're not talking delay. We're going to come up with a plan and then move forward with the plan. So I wouldn't worry at this point about that. And if we go for grant money, there may not be any ARPA money left, but there might be a few dollars.
Okay.
To attack the places where we get the biggest bang, that will reduce the phosphorus. Those bigger projects are likely to move forward first.
Mr. Yo, how are we on hiring our environmental engineer to replace?
The position's been posted.
I can talk to that if you'd like.
Yeah, Sean, I don't know.
So we're actively interviewing.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
We had a good interview today with a great candidate. We're scheduling our second interviews. So we are hoping to fill that very
That
shortly.
would be a huge help to this project, right? To have.
Yes, it would.
Yes. Okay, that's good news. Thank you so much. I see Councilor Bowman, your hand is up, and then followed by Councilor Crossley.
Yeah, just a quick question. So maybe this was covered in earlier discussions about this, but what portion of phosphorus reduction could we expect if we pushed on residents to not blow their leaves into the roadway and to use less nutrients on their lawns, or are there others? Because I hear really very little talk about that in discussion about the stormwater runoff. So, I don't know if there's any thought on that. If anybody's done it successfully, I don't know.
Sean,
Can you take that one?
Yeah, that's part that what you're talking about is part of the public education component of the NIPD's permit, where the city, we are required to educate the public, the residents about, the proper use of fertilizers, the proper pickup and disposal of leaf litter and all the things you just mentioned. So that is certainly a part of the NIPD's permit that we've been undertaking for many years, but it's an ongoing, annual process to continue to educate the public on these issues. It doesn't end. That public education keeps going. So that's where we capture the information for the residents.
So we don't have to answer it tonight, but I would certainly like to know what we are doing. Maybe it's just missed me somehow. Maybe it's information we could all share.
Sure, we can get that information too. Sure.
That would be good. I would
It's
like
just going to
that.
be
Okay.
informational.
Yes, informational. Yeah.
Packets. There aren't ordinances or anything else that regulate that.
And there's no data as to how successful we are
That's what,
with public education. There's really no data that backs it
Yeah.
up.
Yeah. when
that's,
it's
that was my
taxpayer-
question was,
Yeah,
you
there-
know,
yeah.
are there communities that are doing a good job at educating people and
Yeah.
achieving any changes that way? And
I
Yeah.
would think that we have a regular education program.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't have a way to measure how successful it is.
okay, thank you.
Okay, Counselor Crossley, followed by Counselor Norton.
Thank you. Well, this is a huge effort and it's very impressive that, you've got it organized this way, great packet and all that. And we're gonna see a plan in June. And of course, now we're so eager to see the plan like right now. But a couple questions again. Is it possible to look back? And if so, how far to efforts already underway? And that we can count those toward our progress, like from what date we've been talking about this for 12 years. And I want to say too, just before you answer that, when we were talking with Weston and Sampson, what they said, and I learned from David Elmer very early on, is that there's no way to meet these kinds of standards with just big projects. It's going to take a lot of small projects throughout the city and a sort of a change of heart in terms of how we think of developing or redeveloping our lands.
That is so true. So we are looking back,
Yeah. So
even
how
our
about
smaller
that?
projects. So all of the special permits that have required stormwater, we have given to Wooded and Curran. I think we've gone back to about 2010.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I think some of them went back to 2005, I believe. Yeah.
We may have, yes.
Yeah.
I think there was a little trouble getting the 05 ones.
Yeah.
Also, I want to let you know that they are talking about our street sweepings and giving us credit for those
Yeah.
and
Saw that in
reducing
there.
phosphorus through that. So this is a good thing.
But street sweeping is like just this ongoing thing. You mean looking back
So
10
the,
years or 15 years of street sweeping?
so the EPA is going to determine the load removal for the street sweepings,
Okay.
hopefully, and give us credit that way.
I mean, bottom line, we want to clean up the river. I totally
Mhm.
get that. But these are huge numbers. They're
Yep.
really, I mean, it's shocking to think that the regrading and new drainage system in the library only means 2 pounds a year or 2 pounds of
2.7, I believe it is,
or almost
or
3. Okay.
2.6.
It's pretty shocking. It puts it in
Yeah.
perspective very quickly how much
Ah.
work we have to do. And it puts it in perspective very quickly how many multiple millions of dollars are implied by this.
Yes.
So Emily, those grants, we're counting on you. That's all for now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Counselor Norton.
I had a couple more things I wanted to mention on that, and that is not to be a downer, but this permit only lasts for a certain number of years, and then it comes up for renewal. And then I'm fairly certain there are going to be some groups out there advocating for it to be made even stronger. So just something to keep in mind. But on the more positive note, those groups also have been actively engaged in working to put a stormwater requirement on private properties. And so far that has been successful. EPA announced that there's going to be a stormwater permit requirement on property owners of an acre or more. And that will be a big help to Newton and every community that faces this requirement. So, so that's just something to keep in mind as well, is that is coming.
This is going to take everybody.
Yep, it certainly is. Ms. Sullivan, also, another big issue that I see on our streets is a lot of plastic litter. Is this program going to be, the street sweeping, would that be able to capture some of that? And I used to ask Maria Rose all the time about the Laundry Brook outfall. There's now a boon there again. That was gone for a few months. And I just never know who's managing that. Someone took a boom away and then put it back. And that captures a fair amount of litter, styrofoam, and other plastic materials that are a real problem for our waterways as well. And that's all going ultimately into the ocean.
Is
Is
this
it-
the outfall on Nonantum?
Yeah, by the Newton Yacht Club.
Yeah, I can recheck, but I seem to remember that it's not our boon, it is the states or DCRs.
Okay, well, if you can find out like who exactly manages that and if there's a person to talk to,
I can work on that.
that would be helpful. And I just had one other question about Edmonds Park. It was brought to my attention that the pond there has a plastic liner that was put in the 30s under the WPA or something.
Oh,
And that-
wow.
that it's now causing some problems. Are you aware of that at all?
I'm not, I know that there are issues in that area.
Okay.
We
I'll talk.
we can go out and take a look.
I think I would like to, and I'll talk to Harry, who's kind of the person I talked to about.
Lou, there was an initial study done. We could take a look through that study. They may have identified whether
Yeah,
that existed or not. and-
yeah, I'm not familiar with this issue, but yeah, we'll take a look at the study. Yeah.
Okay. Councilor Rado, I see your hands up.
I'm ready to move approval, Madam.
Okay, good. I am too. Thank you very much. So there's a motion to approve. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Are there any abstentions? Or any noes? Okay, that is unanimous. So thank you very much, everybody. And that concludes our business for this evening at 8:05 PM. That may make up a little bit for last night's land use meeting, but not much.
Thank you so much.
Good night,
Nice
all.
job,
Have a good
Shauna and
night.
Lou.
Bye, everybody.
Thanks.
Yes. Great.